or a trophy of some kind. Do I have it right now? Number 6 was at the Hershey Hotel. Remember the floods that year? What was the name of those floods at the Hershey Hotel? Was that Agnes? The Pittsburgh contingent couldn't get through. The police wouldn't allow them to come across, and we had our own reunion at the Hershey Hotel. Now the thing about the Hershey that year was they had a big fountain in the center of the hotel. Robin, remember? Yeah. We had no running water. We used to come down and get our waste baskets and dip for water in there and take them up and flush the toilets. It was almost funny. But the Hershey Hotel was still a #1 venue.
Paper plates for dinner, guys.
Yeah, we had paper plates, but they still had the excellent food that we enjoyed. And we had the run of the place. The kids were little. Robin, remember? The house band was there, and they played for us, for you young people. And we had wet putting greens outside. Lee, you might remember that. It was an unbelievable experience, but it was a fine reunion that we had. Okay. Number 7 was at the Monterey Hotel. Number 8 was at the Admiral Inn. We had dinner at Zaber's in Wildwood. Number 9 was at Colonial Motel in Cape May, where we had dinner at the Lobster Pot. Number 10 was at the Impala Motel, Harry's Inn. We had a nice dinner there. Number 11 was the Downingtown Inn. Do you remember when they were renovating the Downingtown? While we were there, everything was in a shambles, but we had our reunion and it went off quite well, as I remember. Number 12 was at the Continental Motel, that little toilet next to the sands. But we stayed there and it wasn't really that bad. Number 13 was at the Whittier Motel. 14 was at the Days Inn. And that would have been around 1990 at Al's place, the Tremont Inn, where Al entertained us with his fine voice. And there were good times too, Al. Yeah. Too bad that place didn't last. The Hampton Inn was number 15. Now the Hampton Inn was a little kind of a different place. We had a real nice hospitality room, coffee, cake, everything that we needed. But the owner's mom, a little old lady here, used to trail him everywhere he went. He had a limo that he took people into Atlantic City with. And she had to sit on the front seat. That was her spot. And if you tried to get into that limo, she'd knock you on the ground. Then we went to the Howard Johnson Inn, and we had the Hampton Inn, we had Ramada Suites, we had the Bayview Inn. And we went to Pittsburgh, the top of the Triangle, which was a very memorable affair for me. I was very impressed with the city of Pittsburgh. We had good hosts. The hospitality was great. And God willing, I'd like to go back to Pittsburgh again. Then we had the Roadway Inn in Quakertown, Luigi's Restaurant, and Butter Creek Farm, which is Al's residence. Sheraton Atlantic City West Hotel, the Hampton Inn in Bayside, Circus Hotel in Las Vegas. Now this brings about a special story. You know who I'm going to talk about. First off, Ray, I want to thank you, if I already have not done so, for keeping track over my wife and escorting her through the night while she was winning those millions of dollars. Ray would take and stay by my wife's side throughout the night, and he would take the buckets of coins that she won and take them over and cash them in. All night long this went on. I don't know what else went on, I was in bed, but for that, Ray, I thank you.
Never saw a dime.
You should have talked to me, yeah. Okay, that was number 25, and number 26 was our last reunion that we had. These are some of the recollections that I have, many of them very happy occasions. And I trust that you'll think about them, bring back some good memories in your mind, and we'll go from there. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Most of your facts were okay, but I think Vince helped Gladys and Ray take some of that money over to the cashiers, you know. And
Vince was
he
part of
claims that he
that?
never got anything out of it, did we? Before we have our music recital, I'd like to have a word from Al Hoffman, who I think is well enough.
Aren't you going to play me tape?
After you speak. Vince Saletti has brought along our ode. No, we're going to have after Al speaks, you know, because while he's still awake, I'd like to have him say something.
Don't hurt him, Lee.
What's that?
Don't hurt him.
Don't hurt him.
Did pretty good, Jack.
Some of the things I remember, I had written down.
I know what I meant, not what I missed.
Still lost it, yeah. Some good years, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Leon. And I also, as a preface and a few things I have to say, want to thank you for picking up the reins when I obviously dropped them. You did a great job, thank you.
Yeah, he did.
Many, many years ago. God bless you, Bill. Do you have anything else you want to do to interrupt me? And you could have shaven before you came to dinner. Many years ago, I don't know if we were in the same tent or what, but Leon Kaplan had a fetish. He used to like to feel my underwear. Am I telling the truth, Lee?
You're absolutely right, Al.
There was Lee, Kewen, Gibbs, a few other, not Gibbs,
Excuse me.
but you know who they were.
Right?
Well,
Were you
Lee,
wearing the underwear?
I found something in memorabilia that I thought you deserved. And if you'd be kind enough to come back to the podium just for a moment. You won't believe this, these are 52 years old. Dorothy just washed them.
Thanks, Al.
Please open it.
I'm going to open this, and everything that Al said is true. But what he didn't tell you was that he presented himself as available wearing these. You know, so I'd like to give you the real part of the story, you know, the unspoken part.
If they're pink, you don't want to see it.
Al occupied the bunk next to me. This was at Fort Meade. And, he did. And I woke up one morning, and there's Al wearing these. And I hadn't been home for a long time. And, oh, these are not the same ones. These have become discolored over the years. What he really had was a pair of beige-colored silk panties. Now, for those of you who haven't been lucky enough to see Al semi-disrobed, I must tell you that he was a delight. Now, he claims it was this. Not at all, not at all. They were silk, glossy, and curvaceous.
See why, Bill, you see why I moved over to your tent?
Thank you, Al. Thank you very much. I treasure these.
Don't let go of it.
Couple of quick acknowledgements. Robin and Kevin Blameyer.
Yeah.
We're so grateful that you brought Dad and Mom here. And thank you and for joining our family. Thank you so much. We also have some guests here from the illustrious Kepler family, cousins of Sandra and Bill. Virginia and Hazel, would you just smile for us? Welcome. Well, David Marks has gone, but it was a valiant effort that he made to get here, and I know we appreciate it. And of course, echoing that which Leon said, Elsie and Bob, we wish for you what we wish for ourselves, nothing but good health and happiness. If you notice, there's a photo attached here to the front of the podium. For the benefit of those of you who was not in Vegas last year, this is a plaque that you people gave me. It was a field promotion, and you made me a 5-star general. An inexpensive plaque, but very much appreciated. I mention the plaque only because not only do I appreciate it and have it in a place of honor in my bathroom, but I recall, I think it was our 16th reunion in Evansville. Does anyone remember that reunion?
Yeah.
We were with the Gurmans, may he rest in peace, Hal Gurman. And they presented me with a plaque that evening, and it was called the Kentucky Colonel. And they gave me a license plate, they gave me this lovely certificate. And every year since then, I've been getting billed $200 from the state of Kentucky to renew the license plate. And I'm just wondering if that's going to happen with this plaque that you people gave. But that plaque gave me certain authority, and I'll get to that in just a moment. I think one of the things that was not said here this evening was how very proud we are of our Harvey Pollack. And how very proud Harvey Pollack is of Harvey Pollack. Harvey, you've done us all proud, and we are truly proud of you. And if you don't stop signing these goddamn autographs,
Charging for it. Is he jealous?
I had Harvey sign his book that he gave me tonight, and he didn't see it, and I think I left it at my seat, but above it I wrote, "To my closest, dearest, most wonderful friend," and he signed it. If someone told me 3 weeks ago that I would be here tonight enjoying your company, I would have scoffed at it, because at that time I was undergoing some surgery. And tonight, I really feel strong. I have a sinus infection, which I apologize for. And yesterday I had a vasectomy so that we don't have any more children. But other than that, I'm really strong and in good shape. And I want to thank all of you for your good wishes, your cards. There were no gifts, but I know that you meant it. 56 years ago, we left the service and we went our separate ways. And I, for one, think it's remarkable that we've remained and managed to remain together 26 times since then. And that if that isn't some sort of a bond, I don't know what is. I have a few more citations that I'd like to give out through the authority you granted me when you made me a 5-star general. Jack Zarzation, because of the valiant effort that you made to get here tonight, and I know it was no small chore, I promote you to 4-star general. If you open that and show everyone, you'll see what it is. Dick Hack, for heroism such as you display every day, but particularly your superhuman effort to be with us this evening, I hereby promote you to the rank of Adjutant General. And as such, I give you a General Front license.
More stars for license plate.
General Stars. Jake Gerhardt. Jake, you continually travel further than anyone here. And I couldn't think of anything to get you more fitting than the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, and every other goddamn star.
I think he's got more medals than you have.
Some of those decorations were taken from some dead bodies. Finally, and lastly, but not least, Ray Wolf. You amaze me, you truly do, even before you try to sing. I have to share this with you. Ray called me, first he emailed me and called yesterday. The message was, I am en route to Atlantic City, but I don't know where I'm going. Please contact me. Wrong?
Oh, yes, that's true. Unfortunately, I found where I was going.
So I called the state police to stop him, to let him know what the hotel was. In realizing that he had a 3.5-hour trip to get here, and I know that he was anxious, and I don't know where he had any rest stops along the way. Ray, I got this for you for the trip back.
Can I open it?
Yes, please.
Thanks.
That's what I thought it was. It's the male urinal.
You can go non-stop now, Ray.
I noticed the hand is right-handed. I'm left-handed. Did they not have any left-handed men?
I got it because I have a good memory. You dress left. Well, that's it. I know I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know that Lee has some things planned. We have to honor the memory of our friends that are no longer with us. We want to hear Cliff Rogers. I do want to tell you this. Cliff wrote the Ode to the 26th. And it's become a ritual every year that we listen to it. We all enjoy it. Vince Saletti made copies of it. So for those of you who do not have copies or wish to have one, We do have some extra with, they're how much, 35 cents a copy? So just let me know and I'll be happy to give you one.
Only I'll say here. Because at Las Vegas, as he tells you, we made him a 5-star general. And he made his own license plate. It's got it on his car. So I decided, me, myself, and I, Gary Snow, we got to do something for Al. So we made him a 5-star general. You're going to be entertained, or? Mr. Captain, what's your pleasure? What's next?
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to have next. This is just a brief note before we have the oath. And I'd like you to know that Harvey Pollack is not the only superstar and Hall of Famer. Al Hoffman, in 1985, was made a member of the Tire Hall of Fame in 1985, along with a lot of other distinguished men in the tire industry. And he has a booklet which he will also distribute to anyone who would like one.
With autograph.
With autographs. And I think I have a sample copy of it. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. And Al, just a reminder of the 1985 presentation, I'm going to give this book to you, and you can autograph this for me at your leisure. And this is a 1985 presentation that was made to Al Hoffman as a member of the Hall of Fame of the tire industry. So Harvey's not the only Hall of Famers that we have.
Music industry Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's not here with us.
No, but he won.
We had another one. Al is reminding me. Johnny Marks was a member of the Hall of Fame of the music industry. So we had 3 of those distinguished people in our company. You know, for a small company, this is quite an accomplishment. I think we've overscored. Yo.
You might explain this to me. You explain the oath.
Since Hazel and I won't be with you in person, I wrote and taped a few verses that you might like. It's called Ode to the 26th. With pen in hand and emotions mixed, I write these lines of the 26th. It's a special service company, and I'll try to relate its history. Basic training in New Orleans for years and years, at least it seems. Our group was classed as infantry back in the year of '43. Day after day, our little clan trained at a camp known as Harahan, close order drill and Camp Slidell, with weather damp and hot as hell. November came in that same year, got on a train, and in high gear to Shanks, New York, thought we'd freeze, while being briefed for overseas. HMS Empire Hallbred, a ship, to Gorick, Scotland, man, what a trip. The boat was docked in the Firth of Clyde with seasick guys who wished they'd died. A train to England, Tillshead Devizes, thought the natives had donned disguises. Tidworth, Wiltshire, Plymouth, Devon, I kid thee not, it wasn't heaven. USS Arthur Seawall, April 1-5, crossed the English Channel to arrive at Utah Beach, St. Germain de Virville, where devastation gave our spines a chill. Apple orchard at Brickleback, St. Maurice too. A hayfield at Pierre's for billets would do. Then at Avranches they would bomb and strafe. It seemed that no place in France was safe. Moved to Le Mans, stayed there 4 days. The Army devised ingenious ways to keep us moving and running around, from village to village and town to town. For 19 days in the forest were we, Chateauneuf, Grisay, Belvedere, Rosé-en-Brie. On to Somerville, where we stopped for a week, where even children French could speak. Corsay and Charmes and Louisville, Neuf Maison and Sarbourg Hill. 44 ended, came 45, and all were thankful to be alive. In March we entered Germany, little knowing what was to be. Kaiserslautern, Eisenberg, Bensheim too. The Krauts retreated, our optimism grew. Gross Umstadt, Partenstein and Bruckenau, Bonach, Erlangen and Schwabach we saw. Trutflagen, Eichach, Munich also. They kept us moving in the ETO. Salzburg, Bamberg, Aschaffenburg, Nancy. By now we're headed for home, you see. Camp Atlanta, Meilly, France. Then a Belgium stop with ants in our pants. Got back to the States in August that year without a worry and an absence of fear. Back to New York to be mustered out, and that's what these verses are all about. Many an area from border to border are listed here in chronological order, from basic training in New Orleans to the journey home and the in-betweens. We had a great group, in my book, the best, because when things were rough, they stood the test. Any kind of person from which to choose, Protestants, Catholics, and of course some Jews. I'm glad we did it way back when, but there's no way I'd do it again. I'm a lover, a gentle feller, but as a fighter, I'm just plain yeller. Just one more word before I end. I'm proud to call each of you my friend. Don't be impatient. I'll be done in a jiff with this last line from Hazel and Cliff.
Almost 25 years ago, Cliff Rogers wrote the now famous Ode to the 26. There is no way that I could duplicate that, nor would I try. But I think if Cliff were with us, he would have perhaps written one or two more follow-up odes, sequels, so to speak. So in honor of Cliff and this great work for us, and as a commemoration to each of you and my feelings for you, I have written what I call the Ode Continues. There have been many odes to the 26, the best of which was written by Cliff. Whenever we meet, we listen to his voice. We listen very intently. We do so by choice. For some 55 years have come and they've gone. We've lost many buddies, and as we face each dawn, I pray we can meet again next year, and that each one of you will again be here. We seem bound together by an invisible force. Rough going at times was the reason, of course. Put in perspective, 'twas only 3 years, but with the loss of each buddy I brush away tears. Cliff put it well. I consider each of you my friend, and plan on seeing you yearly right up to the end. And if it should pass that I alone remain, I'll reunion alone, let them think I'm insane. I salute you, my friends. May you live long, healthy lives. You have enriched mine. My name is Al Hoffman.
Thank you, Vince. I think after those two oaths, this might be the appropriate time, as has been our custom, to read the names of those who did pass, and of whom Al spoke, and Cliff Rogers too. The names of our buddies who have predeceased us, and we hope we can go on longer and longer together without any more calamities. Harry Roundy Allen, Dale Hammond, Woody Applewhite, Frank Arnold, Aggie Arnold, George Baker, Red Bennett, Joe Berry, Marvin Bach, Ed Busby, John Butch, Don Chrisman, Royal Cope, Sam Daly, Gerald Doxson, Phil Dubas, Angus Duncan, Roddy Erst, Dwayne Elsasser, Bill Fays, Arnie Freeman, Paul Freund, Julius Castellum, George Gazella, Hal Gurman, John Gibb, Eckerd Goodman, Mario Guida, George Hamill, Willie Hudson, John Hooten, Robert Kuhn, Harold Kramer, Mo Zaslowski, and Joe Samosny. Myron Leach, Bob Loring, Johnny Marks, Charles McCreary, Bill Manger, Dave Montgomery, Bob Norton, Bob Overton, John Pellini, Bob Pierce, Lowell Pugh, Herb Puritz, Jimmy Pyle, Cliff Rogers, Charlie Rohrbacher, Jim Stapleton, Howard Rothschild, Ed Stefanik, Howard Sheriff, Bill Skelton, Donald Smith, Paul Thomas, Pat Tucker, Al Varone, Willie Vest, Don Wallace, Pop Weiss, Jimmy Widener, Doug Yowie, Charlie Young, Joe Jevnikar, Jimmy Stapleton again. Was about one of my most recent. And I'm sure that you can all remember their faces as I have read these names. And in their memory, God bless them. And now, after we've been through this part of memories, we're going to bring on a much more memorable personage. Ray, would you like to come up and perform for us now and announce what it is that you're going to sing?
Sure he would. Go on, Ray.
Yes, it does.
Don't trip over, Ray. Keep it over an hour.
Can you hear me all right?
Oh, sure.
If I talk this way?
It's all funny, but that's all right.
Those of you who are unfortunate enough to have an email, every day you get thoughts from Al Hoffman and thoughts for the day. Most of them concern the very use of bounce, that you put in the laundry. And Al has figured other things to do with it. I think he owns stock in the company. But I want to, at the risk of throwing out a non sequitur to you, I thought of my own for the day. We all have places that we have to go. The soccer game for the kids and the IRS audit or wherever. There are places that you want to go, you have to go, and you don't want to go. And I just would like to remind you that outside of your family, you'll never be in a venue where there is more love and genuine affection than there is in this room tonight. On the lighter side, we've had a lot of talk about what a great job Lee Kaplan has done picking up the reins from our wounded commander. He's supposed to be a detail man. You know, he was an accountant at one time. He wasn't good enough to work for Arthur Anderson, but I guess he ran his household. Anyway, Leon is supposed to be a detailed person. And I would like to, he arranged for the hotel to send us greetings as a unit, as a group of visiting firemen, so to speak. And I would like to just skim through the greeting that Leon arranged from the hotel. It says, on behalf of the Clarion Hotel, each of you, for your convenience, the Clarion, there's a casino shuttle, you know, and the last paragraph of this letter that Leon had them send says, once again, we are delighted to have the Marine Corps League back again for those of you joining us for the first time. So we want to thank you, Leon, for arranging that. I think the front desk still knows who the hell we are. So we had a meeting this morning, and there was a lot of serious 26 Special Service talk. Mostly we heard about the Baseball Hall of Fame and how Harvey played with Ty Cobb and Tris Speaker and all of that business. And Lee ran the meeting. And we didn't really decide anything important. The only thing we were unanimous on is that, thank heavens, we still have General Hoffman in charge. You recall, if I go on too long, just shut me off. You'll recall 2 years ago, I guess it was, I told you about my constant run-in with Sergeant McCreary and what a miserable experience the Army was for me. And so forth. I thought it might be nice to show you or tell you about a rather pleasant experience that happened in the Army. And believe me, you could count them on one toe. I'm sorry David had to leave because his father arranged it. For those of you, particularly the ladies who weren't in the Army with us, the company was divided into 4 platoons, and each platoon was an entity that could perform a show and put the movies on and so forth, and you could go out separately. But Johnny Marks arranged an afternoon in France for kind of a group effort of a number of the platoons to play, get this, to play at a nunnery in France. A nunnery is where the nuns hang out, and it was in a chateau. This is not a joke, by the way, and there's no point to the story. It's just a nice thing that happened. And we were all rather aghast because in our company we had Bob Kuhn, who, with the exception of myself, had one of the foulest mouths you've ever heard. And our show was, in its way, risque because we were entertaining troops and like that. But nevertheless, Captain Marks had arranged our trip to the nunnery. And they were retired nuns. They weren't active nuns. They were old. 80, 90, 110. These were old nuns. And so we backed the truck up and we brought our piano, did the whole thing, and it was, as I say, it was a group effort. So we had men from various platoons, and in the group we had Bob Norton, who spoke high school French. We had Bob Kuhn, the burlesque comedian, who spoke gutter French. We had Vargas. He was a saxophone player, a little Spanish kid. He spoke Spanish. We had Julian Gustavo, who spoke Spanish also. We had Dietrich, who spoke either French or Polish, one or the other, or not French, German or Polish. Anyway, we had a number of languages in the group. So we did the show, and the nuns, there were about 12 of them, sat in a circle around us like this. And we did the show. And Mother Leach was there, and she performed her song, and Bobby Kuhn cleaned up his act, and he told a few jokes, and like that. And the nuns didn't move, they didn't clap, they sat there, like that. So, naturally, when it was over, she said, would you stay? The mother nun, or whatever they call them, the head nun, she said, would you stay and have lunch with us? We've prepared a little something. We don't have much, because it was during the war, everybody was scratching around. And so we stayed. And we packed up and put it all in the truck and went into the dining area. And I want to tell you, it was like walking into a catering hall for a wedding. There was a table laid out with stuff you couldn't believe. Everything. It was little curly, cute things, and they looked like eclairs, and just, it was gorgeous. And where did these nuns get this food, for God's sakes? The war, the bombs. It turned out that absolutely everything on the table was made from potatoes. And they had created these things for our visit. It was beautiful. So we started in to eat the potato eclairs, and the head nun sent one of the girls, she sent one of the nuns downstairs and to get money, to make a little side money for the retirement home. They made wine. And they had hidden the wine from the Germans. So they went to the cellar, or wherever they had it, and they brought up wine. Well, I want to tell you, these guys laid into that wine like there was no tomorrow. And the nuns, and this is the kicker of the story, the end of the story, thank God, they had come from all around the world. There were nuns from Poland, there were nuns who had been in China, and they didn't all speak English. Some of them spoke Yugoslavian, some spoke Czech, some spoke German. It was like this. And the drunker everybody got with this wine that they laid on us, the party started to pick up, and the nuns looked pretty good, And the great thing was that somebody would tell a story in English, and Gastalum or Vargas would tell the story in Spanish, and one of the nuns would translate it into Czech, and it went around the circle of the nuns. It was like the school of languages where you go. It was an absolutely beautiful, heart-rending afternoon. I just loved it, and it was, I guess, really the only nice thing that happened to me during the whole war. It was really nice. But I want to, just so you ladies don't think it was all terrible, which it was. But I do want to tell you a thing that happened to me a week or so ago in New York City. Actually happened. And I'm in an ATM line to get money. And it's an ATM that's outside. And there's 3 or 4 people. It's not a big line. And there's a woman there, a mother, and she has a child. And the little kid, she looks like Shirley Temple. She's 5 years old, 6 years old, I don't know, she's about like that. And she's got the blonde hair going up and down, and she has a blue ribbon in the hair. And the mother's waiting in line for the machine, and the kid is waiting for the mother who's waiting for the machine. And the kid has one of those toys, I'm sure you had one years ago. It's like a broom handle. I'm sure you've seen it. And at one end it has a horse's head, and on the bottom it has a wheel. And you put it between your legs and you've got the horse, right? So the kid has one of these, and she's killing time while her mother is waiting, and she's going around in the circle with this horse toy. And she goes, she goes around 2 or 3 times, and she comes around, and you know me, I lean down, and I said, hey, that's a great horse you've got there. What's your horse's name? She stops and she gets off the thing and she looks up and she said, mister, it's a stick. Wiped out by a 5-year-old, right? Anyway, listen, now we're down to this song, guys. And you've got to share the guilt here. I'm not going to do this by myself. And as you know, those of you, this was a famous song We used to sing it while we dug ditches, while we were in the latrine, in the shower. Everybody got together and sang. This is what we sang. And just as I said, you're going to share the guilt with me. I'm not going to do this. I never heard this song. I've never heard this song. And it's what you have. If you don't have the words in front of you, they're in your folder. If you don't have them in front of you, you have to do things like, your first one is quite a blow. Now that's hard, that's 3 words, but they're all one syllable. So let me hear you say, quite a blow. Now, quite a blow. That's what I want to hear, okay. Now, and there's 2 or 3 of them. There's another one here, it's, oh, I know. Let me hear, oh, I know. Oh, I know. All right, now here's this one. As I say, I had never heard it before. Al Hoffman sang it to me, but he's got a voice like 5 miles of bad road. And it goes like this. Now you see in me a private, and although I will survive it, to my wife and all my friends it's quite a blow.
Quite a blow.
Beautiful. Louder, I want to hear it.
Quite a blow.
Quite a blow. While my family keeps awaiting, I know I can't get a rating. To be crude, I got screwed by the T.O. Oh, I know. Yes, I know.
Yes, I know.
It's the honor that counts, not the dough, not the dough. Not the dough, not the dough. Listen, if you know, we're going to do it again. You better get in here. All right. But I never did see a T3 on KP. To be crude, I got screwed by the T.O. All right, second verse. Shortly after my induction, I became aware of suction, but I said there'd be no mustard on my nose.
On my nose.
Great. If I get there on my merit, face my duty, not forswear it. While I dreamed, I got reamed by the T.O. Oh, I know.
Oh, I know.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I know.
It's the honor that counts and not the dough.
Not the dough.
I might be satisfied if I never had tried, but I bucked and got screwed by the T.O. Last verse. Here we go. Now I'm not a doubting Thomas. I believe the captain's promise that there'll be a change within a week or so.
Next page.
But my hopes, how can I build up when I know the darn thing's filled up? To be crude, I got screwed by the T.O. Oh, I know.
Oh, I know.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I know.
It's the honor that counts and not the dough. When the whole world is free, they'll make me VFC. That's the day when I'll say, screw the T.O. Let's hear it for yourself. That's it. We thank you. I don't know who wrote it. If you want a copy, here it is.
Marty Freeman wrote it.
Good job. You did a good job.
Well, I think that does it for this reunion. And Ray was right. We did have a meeting this morning that got not quite nowhere, but we got somewhere. I think we're somewhere between Baltimore and Washington is where we ended up. And so we're hoping that we can organize a reunion for next year, somewhere in that area. We think that it's fairly well centrally located for most of us. And we're probably going to try for it about the same time next year. This seemed to work out well. And start again on Sunday. That also seemed to work out. And so we'll keep you posted as we make progress in getting more and more information. And the general is back. And he's already volunteered to do a lot of the, not volunteered, he's taking command is what he's thinking. There's a difference between we volunteer, he commanded, you know. And he said he'll look into some of the hotels, and he knows what our what our aim is, and what the cap for rates and all that sort of thing is that I think we've agreed upon. So we'll be hearing more from Al and Jack Zarzation, and for me, whenever Al thinks that I can be of some help, and I'll be glad to do it. Any last words from anyone? It's open. Last comments, oots, hollers?
Amen. That's it.
Amen.
How about a little
Bill? Very little, but I guess not. But anyway.
Not a damn thing I can say, that you guys haven't done.
But not in your inimitable way.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to hear Harvey's acceptance speech for the 8th time.
All in favor? I withdraw the motion.
I beg your pardon? You withdraw the motion. Okay. Harvey, would you like to give us an excerpt from your speech?
Yeah.
If not the entire thing.
Yeah, come on.
And, you know,
Come on, Harvey.
and sort of let us in on.
Harvey, take a pen so you can give your autograph.
Let us in on your little secrets, you know, that got you to that eminent position.
Well, we were all told how many minutes we were allowed to speak. Some had 3.5 minutes, some had 4.5 minutes.
By the way, Harvey, I've already heard this.
Sir, when you would be silent when the Hall of Famer is speaking. You're lucky I'm taking pity on you and really not picking on you. My normal mode of action would have been tearing you apart. But I'm not doing that tonight. But anyway, my speech, which was met with resounding applause, laughter, standing ovation when I finished. The theme was, I didn't know I was getting this distinction for being a statistical wizard or whether I was getting it for being a survivor. And my speech pointed out that I had survived every high school teacher that I had, every journalism professor I had at Temple, 11 basketball owners, 3 baseball stadiums and another one about to go down, places where the Warriors and the Sixers played, and so on. And then I went in and talked about some of the achievements I had seen over the years, such as Wilt's 100-point game and Wilt's 55-rebound game, and the fact that I was part of the team when they won the championship in 1967, but also I was part of the team that saw every game the year they were 9-73 for the worst record in the history of the league. So I was at the top and the bottom. And then I ended up the speech by saying, I'm not sure why I was being on there. I'm really perplexed, but I think my statistical prowess has enabled me to compress 66 years of my sporting life into my allotted 3.5 minutes. and I got a tremendous reception in that. But it was something great for the 4 days. Wait, let me tell you how it started. When it started, I knew that it was going to be great. When you check in at the airport, you have to show a picture of yourself. Well, when I arrived at the airport, I didn't know this. So I had trouble finding my driver's license. And I'm fumbling for the license, and my son says, look, you're carrying an Inquirer. And that day's Inquirer, those of you who've been in the hospitality room had this big story of me with my picture. So I, hold a second. I opened the paper up, I said, here's my picture, and I showed the paper. And I said, what's that? Did you go in the Hall of Fame? I said, yeah. Okay, I don't need anything else. So we get on the plane, and we're sitting back, and Coach, the Hall of Fame, paid for the ticket. And the Sixers paid for it. I was in first class. But the Hall of Fame paid for it. And we're sitting back there. The next thing I know, the stewardess came down to where we're sitting and said, Mr. Pollock, we have a seat for you up in first class. So my son was with me. He was taking the place of my wife. And I said, well, he's with me. So they went up, she went back into the front and told a guy who was sitting by himself to move. And put him with another row with some other person. And we came up and sat there. So now at that point, neither of my son or I had really read the paper, the story. So we were reading the paper, and the stewardess came down and said, can I take a copy of that paper up to the captain? And I said, sure. She took it up. And a few minutes later, over the loudspeaker system, comes the captain saying, ladies and gentlemen, we have a real celebrity aboard the plane today. He's going to Springfield to go in the Hall of Fame. And I'm sure when this plane lands in Springfield, he'll be delighted to sign autographs for you and pose for pictures. And so when this all happened, I knew this was going to be 4 memorable days, and it turned out that way. There wasn't one glitch in the 4 days. And one of the highlights was I even rode they took us in ancient cars. I rode in a 1923 Rolls Royce, and I told them, I said, I'm 1 year older than this car. I was born in 1922. And that's the way they took us around all the different places in these kind of vehicles. And there was parties every day, not much drinking, but a lot of eating. And many autograph sessions. One time I was there for 2 hours solid signing autographs. They were lined up in what we call Fan Fest, and they were bringing basketballs, shirts, posters, everything kind of stuff like that to sign. And everywhere I went, I was recognized, and people would stop me and take a picture with my son or me. Adults and children alike, autographs and stuff. And so it was, my 15 minutes or whatever you call that, in the limelight is over now. So that's the story of my trip. And yes, what you raised your hand for? Who asked you?
Were you disappointed when no one got off the plane and asked for your autograph?
When I got off the plane?
After the captain's announcement.
Well, you see, the problem with that is that when we came on the plane, we put our stuff in the overhead luggage back in coach. So we were now up in first class. So we weren't going to bust through all the people to go get our stuff.
What you're saying is no one wanted your autograph.
Well,
okay, next speaker.
Ray, I want to thank you again for that wonderful performance. In a way it will be. You really can't follow a goddamn tune at all, That's not the one that Al taught you. At any rate, it was a delight, and you're great. Down along. I'm so good. And what's that name? Reunion. And when Al sent out the initial notice that we were going to have this, very few people had signed on initially, and Al was becoming discouraged. It takes an awful lot of bad events to discourage Al. And he wrote to us, if you remember, that this might be our last one. And he was using that as a come-on. So those of us who seem to be reluctant
would say, well, if this is the last one, thank God, we'll make it, you know. So, thus the effort, and here we all are. Now,